Hey there, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Connie. I'm Connie Foote with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. So we've been talking the last couple of months about definitions, terms, things you may not understand, words that may come across through your closing process, either by your realtor or your mortgage lender, some terms that just may not be familiar to you. And so we wanted to talk about a lot of those for the past couple weeks. We talked about it all through January and probably a lot through February. We're going to talk about it because there's lots of different definitions, terms that we hear that people don't understand. So today I wanted to talk about the survey and what the survey actually is. So a survey of a property is where a surveyor, a licensed professional, comes out and actually does a drawing of the property and all of the things that are on the property, where they're located, including the house, sheds, fences, decks, garages. Maybe you have a carport. Maybe you have a dog house, maybe you have a dog pen. So anything that is a permanent or semi-permanent structure that is, or item that is on that piece of property, the surveyor comes out and draws that home, that piece of property, the parameters of that piece of property, and any of those things that are above ground that are on that piece of property. Now, there's a couple of different kinds of surveys. One's called a location survey, where that is where the surveyor comes out along with the plat, which is the drawing that was originally done of the neighborhood when that property or when that neighborhood was developed. So that property is shown on that plat, and the surveyor basically takes that plat and goes around that property to make sure that all of the items that are on that property that have been constructed are actually within the property lines. So a location survey is what most people see at the closing or get through the closing, and it's usually pretty affordable, anywhere from $150 to maybe $250. Good morning, Tina. How are you this morning? Thanks so much for tuning in. Usually that's around the price of a location survey if the property's in a neighborhood that does have a plat. And so the location drawing does not typically have, the surveyor does not post the points of the property, does not locate where the corners are. They just confirm that what's on the plat, everything that is on the property that's physically located there does fall within the lines that's drawn on that original plat. And they do a drawing for you, and it does have measurements on how far different things are away from the property lines and the house and those types of things. It'll show the driveway and you know, any of those types of semi-permanent or permanent structures that are located within those property lines. Now, the other type of survey that you may see or that you may be curious about is called a boundary survey, and that boundary survey is considerably more expensive because the surveyor actually goes out and plots all of those lines and does place the corner markers for all of the turns on that property. The reason that's considerably more expensive is obviously it takes a whole lot more time for them to go out and make sure that all those property lines do match up with what was on that plat, and then they go out and set those markers and do those confirmations, and then you also get a drawing on that as well. Usually that can range in price all across the board, depending on the size of that piece of property. If you're talking about a property that's in a subdivision that's less than an acre, then it's probably going to be considerably less expensive. Or if you are talking about a piece of property that's in a rural area that is a much larger piece of property, then, you know, of course, it's going to take a lot more time, and so it's going to be considerably more expensive. They probably will need a couple of people to go out and work on that survey together. A lot of mortgage companies do not require surveys for property closing anymore because the title insurance company or the title company will agree to insure over anything that could cause the lender a problem. Now, they won't agree to insure over anything that could cause the owner a problem because there is lots of different liability situations there. And so because of the insurance issue, the lender allows that to go to closing without requiring a survey. So hence, a lot of people that don't understand what the purpose of that survey is would think that it would be okay, that they really don't need a survey, or maybe they got one from the seller, and that's great as long as nothing has changed on that property since the seller had that survey done. But let's say, for example, the seller had a survey done, and after that, the neighbor put a fence up. And so the seller says, well, I'll give you the survey when I purchased the property, and I haven't done anything to the property that would change on that survey. Well, the problem that happens is that survey doesn't depict where that neighbor's fence is, and sometimes that neighbor's fence may have been constructed on your property and you didn't even know it. And so now when the seller gives you that survey and you decide to go put a fence on your side of the property, you find that the neighbor's fence is on your property, which can cause a big problem and lots of reasons for you to be able to put your fence up. Now you have a concern about where your property lines are, and now you got to talk to your neighbor about the fact that their fence is on the property, and that could cause a problem as well. So my thought, and definitely my recommendation, and certainly what I do whenever we purchase a piece of property, is definitely have a location survey done. Now, I don't necessarily feel that you have to have a boundary survey done unless you have some concerns about things that are on the property or where the actual property lines are. That may be a concern, so it may be something that you want to think about. But at the very least, I would certainly have a location survey done because it shows you these things. It shows you where the easements are that the county or the utilities have that allows them access to the property, that we'll talk about much more in depth in another series. But it shows you those fences. It shows you the neighbor's shed that may be over the property line. It shows you a right-of-way. Maybe somebody has a right-of-way to travel over your property to get to some type of a feature, whether maybe it's a graveyard, maybe it's to get to the county road, maybe it's to get to water, maybe it's to get to a pump house that you share. So there's lots of reasons why you should get that survey that the title may not discover because the title does not show what's physically sitting on that piece of property. So I always recommend you get a survey, and these are the reasons why. You want to know that what you walk out and see on that property, what you're told is your property, and what you think you see on that property is what's really there. And a survey is going to do that. It's not that expensive, and it definitely helps you protect that ownership. If you get a survey, then your title insurance will actually protect those matters of a survey. If you don't have a survey done, your title insurance can't protect that because your title insurance has no way of knowing what's physically located on that property. So maybe I gave you some information. Maybe I gave you something to think about, a question, maybe food for thought, maybe something that has come up in your mind, or maybe something that hasn't come up that it just did because we were sitting here talking. So hopefully I answered some questions. If not, if you have additional questions, please reach out to me or any of our team. Our team is well versed in both the state of Maryland and Virginia, and particularly we've seen lots of experiences with this survey concern. So if you have a question or you think there's something that you want to know more information about, reach out to anybody on our team. You can find their contact information on our website, www.footetitlegroup.com. And there's also some really good resources about surveys and about other things on the buyers, sellers, and realtor lender page under the resources tab. There's also our newest flyer feature for February that talks about things you need to know when you buy your first home. Go on there, download it. It's a really good resource. And if you sign up for email, then you'll get our information every single month when we put out a new feature. So I'm Connie Fukes with Foote Title Group, where we protect your home ownership. Thank you so much for tuning in with Coffee with Connie. I look forward to talking to you guys several times during the week. And if you have a topic that you want me to talk about, then please let me know that as well. I'd really appreciate it if you hit the share button. That would help me a lot. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.